I want it to always be a win-win, right? So I'll just go through with you where I'm at right now in my portfolio. Let's say I'm like 40% in and 60% cash and gold. And if the price of Bitcoin starts going up from here, I fucking win. I got 40% of my cash still sitting in Bitcoin. So it's a win for me. I think the price is going down from here to like 22,000. And I'll explain why in a minute. And I'll give you some where I think we're going after that. And I reckon I'm going to get pretty fucking close to on the money with what happens when we look back down the track. But so it's a win-win. If it goes down, I win. If it goes up, I win. I really think that that's an important place to get to. And it's not just, the main reason I really try and get there is for my mental health. I don't want to have anxiety about, oh, I need it to go this way or I need it to go that way. Right now, I'm happy if it goes one way or another. I'll fucking be pissed if I keep getting this sideways chop. But it is what it is. So, and the other reason is like, if you think it's going down right now, which I think it's due, you take all your money out and the price starts going up, then the painful part is when do you get back in? Because when you're like, oh, it's going up, oh, I've got to get back in. I know that it's going to be valuable one day, and then you get back in, you're probably going to get back into the top. So you never go all in, never go all out. It's obvious. One of the other rules I've got is when you sell, it's forever profit unless you can get back in lower. It's an interesting one to wrap your head around. So you get delicate with when you take profits. So anyway, let's dive into some technicals. Obviously, right now we're in it. The shape of this is just a real classic bear flag, right? So you've probably seen this online already. I've been eyeballing it for a while. That's the flagpole down. You've got this really just perfectly shaped. Let's switch this to the 3-day chart. Looks really clean at the moment. You've got this perfectly shaped bear flag growing through here, right? So it's just in this channel, it's a rising channel, and all a bear flag is, you got the flagpole down, get stuck into a channel, like 75% of the time, 80% of the time, this thing breaks to the downside. And to get the downside target, you go from the top of the flagpole to the bottom of the flagpole. So you could bring it here or here, let's just go in the middle. And then you extrapolate that from the last touch point at the top of the flag, and that gives you your price on the downside. So I think we're going down to around 23. Some other things that I find really interesting that sort of line up with that is if we pull out the Fibonacci tool and we go from the bottom to the top, and I think that's the top, right? I think this whole thing is an A, B, C correction. And so I'm going to go with that as the top. This is the top, is pretty much the same thing. It gives us this similar levels anyway. So we'll just drag that across. So on a Fibonacci retracement, you can see that we held the first fib level. It's our first retracement level. And then we rebounded back up. We came straight back down, tested that level of support again, right? And so if we break this level of support, which coinky dink, this level of support lines up perfectly with this area through here. If we break this level, this fib level and this support level, then guess what? Next downside target really is here, which is 22,000. So suddenly we've got this bear flag is coming straight down to about here. We got the Fibonacci coming through to about here. And when we zoom out in a few years and look back at this, like all this is, when we look back, is going to be a really perfect rally up, create a high, come back down, rally up, break through the all-time high, and then just come back down and retesting that area as support. So it's just been a resistance into support flip, and then we're going to be off to the races again. So, the things that I'm thinking of right now that I think would be the most valuable for you is obviously don't try and I'm going to start entering anything below $23,500, right? I think that there's a chance that we come down into the teens. I'm going to probably be all in by the time we get there, and that's okay. I don't mind not getting the bottom. What annoys me more is not getting a fucking good position at the start of the next bull run. If I'm waiting for 22 and it only goes to 23 and I don't get back in, then I'll go insane. So I prefer to get in 30% off the bottom rather than try and pick the bottom. So, and you use your dollar cost averaging strategies and that sort of thing. Now, what else lines up with that as to why I think that this is that 22,000 as our price target? I'm going to show you something which you probably haven't seen before, which I really like, which no one else talks about. there's these crazy support, resistance, capitulation lines that just trend through the whole history of Bitcoin, right? So bear with me for a second. You got our support levels through here for this rally. We rocketed off it. Capitulation was through that support line. And then later on, in the next rally, we can't get past that same fucking line. What about here? This is our support line. We break off it. Later on, we capitulate through that support line. And then later on, we can't get past it. What happens the third time? Support line. We capitulate through it. And then later on, we can't get past that support line. It's textbook. So how do we utilize that? This to me looks like our support line. Maybe we could bring it down a little bit. Something like that. This looks like our support line. We rocketed off through it. So if history repeats itself, where we should crash through this support line, which, you know, we know where we would capitulate from, because we've got our Fibonacci. If we break that first fib level, the fib level, the previous support, and our market cycle support line are all hitting around the same mark. So this is the level that would cause capitulation, and point out a bear market in history in Bitcoin that hasn't finished in a capitulation candle. So I think we're going to smash down through that. 22, 23 is my target. I'm going to start going in anything below 24. And then what happens after that? We would find support on a new line, and then at some point in the future, we come up and we can't get past this same trend line, right? Capitulation, use it as resistance in the future. So what price targets could we expect in the future? I know people don't want to hear this, but if this plays out, then we're looking at never getting past our previous all-time high until after June next year. And going off how this plays out in the past, even if we came up and hit it in June next year, we wouldn't even be able to get through there. So possibly June next year, we come up and get rejected and have a little rounded bottom, and then we finally break through it and then come up for a retest, maybe even a third blow off top later on. So that doesn't sound too good when you think about, I've got to wait another year before all-time highs. Yes, probably in this scenario you would, but that line's going up steep on this log chart, guys. So if we go a year after that, June 2024, we're already looking at $127,000 Bitcoin. You know, if you're buying at 22, you're looking at a times 6. And the year after that, if we're looking at June 2025, if we go up and test this line, then we're looking at a $250,000 Bitcoin. So it's not all bad news. It's just you're going to have to be patient. And I think just having some cash on the sidelines to try and get this entry is a really good shout. But again, if the price just starts going up from here, guess what? I'm still on the train. Never sell everything. Make sure you got your long-term stack, because sometimes this thing just goes. Like, I know guys that were selling here. They bought at 5, sold at 10. Yeah, I made a double. And it's like, yeah, but you missed out on 1,000% gain. That's what I did back here. And I watched it go all the way to 14, and I nearly fucking murdered myself. And I was like, I'm never selling everything ever again. It was the most painful thing I'd ever done in trading, and I was still kind of figuring out what everything meant. So, okay, let's look at a couple more things I just want to show you before I kick out of here. One thing that I'm looking at right now is the gold price. So this is just a perfect cup and handle on gold, right? This is a full rounded bottom. It took years for it to play out. We got rejected basically at the previous all-time high, probably plus inflation. It's perfect. We got rejected, and now it looks like we're breaking up past where our previous level was. We're retesting it. So a cup and handle, you would go from the top of the cup to the bottom of the cup. You grab that and you stick it to where the breakout point is on the handle. So it'd be here, so we can get a price target. It's, Jesus Christ. It's up at about $3,200. So gold moves slowly. If we went up at that trajectory, then 3.2 would be somewhere like there. That's the trajectory that gold likes to move at. And so maybe we're looking at, sorry, where's the breakout point there? maybe we're looking at gold getting to that price at the end, September 2023. So we could see a 50% gain in gold in the next year and a half. So what I'm getting at is if you look at the Bitcoin versus the gold chart, there's an inverse correlation, and it is clear as day that basically every time Bitcoin goes up, gold goes down, and vice versa. So if we have a little zoom in here, I'll just show you a couple of the examples. So from this point here, gold down, 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 down. From that same point, Bitcoin up, 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 up. And then when Bitcoin topped and went down, gold bottomed and went up. And then it's the same through here. Gold going down, 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 and Bitcoin trending up, 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 up. And you can even see it if you zoom in closer. Like even this is gold trending up, and this is Bitcoin. This is gold trending down and Bitcoin trending up. So what I'm getting at is I think that gold is about to have a breakout, and I reckon gold's going to break out its new all-time highs as Bitcoin capitulates. So if you see that, there will be a lot of FUD about Bitcoin, and everyone's like, oh, you know, gold's that safe store of assets coming back. It's probably going to be the time to start scraping out of gold into Bitcoin if we see Bitcoin capitulate while gold makes new all-time highs. My guess is probably first target on gold would be somewhere, you know, this is another cup and handle. So you can go from the top of the cup to the bottom of the cup, extrapolate that, go to where the breakout point is probably going to be. So we're looking at about a 2350 gold price in the not too distant future. I reckon by the end of this year for sure. So as that's happening, Bitcoin having its capitulation and then rotate back from gold into Bitcoin. They're the things that I'm looking at right now. Look, I don't change my mind very often. Things take a while to play out. I'm not one of those guys who's going to come back next week and say, oh, you know, Bitcoin's up at 48,000. I'm changing my mind. It's like, no, I really want to wait and see how things play out. To invalidate this, shit, Bitcoin's probably going to have to be pretty fucking high, man. Like mid 50s before I would even consider. Look, the reality of it is I've got that 40% of my money still in Bitcoin. If the price just starts going up from here, then that's my Bitcoin allocation. I'm not going to FOMO back in later. I refuse to FOMO back in later. So I've got enough in there that I'm happy if we just start going up. And I wanted to mention one more thing. Oh, okay. So this is cool. This is really cool. Check this out. Bitcoin USD on the 3-day chart. I don't know if you're familiar with that 3-day death cross that happened back in 2018. That death cross, it formed a tightening pattern between these two moving averages. And as that death cross happened, we had a full capitulation. Right now, we are tightening up in between the 200 and the 50 on the 3-day, just got rejected from it. It's getting super tight. And my guess is as the 50 and the 200 are crossing, Bitcoin price, just like back here, is going to be going through its capitulation. So it's another thing that's gearing me towards we're going down before we're going up. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Remember, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Just like to provide information that you can have, etc. You know the deal. Make your own decisions. Look after your own cash. Play defensive in moments where it could be risky. Oh, I've got one more cracking thing for you. Shit. Maybe I'll save it for next week's video. A little cliffhanger. I'll see you guys next week.